Candace Owens says this new rooftop video changes everything. But does it? Hey, my famous fam. What if the biggest story isn't the video everyone is watching, but the way that video is being presented? Because sometimes a story doesn't explode because of what the camera captures. It explodes because of the questions someone asks while the footage is playing. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Candace Owens has released what she describes as a new rooftop video connected to the death of Charlie Kirk. Within minutes, social media lit up with thousands of comments from people claiming this changes everything. Others immediately pushed back, arguing that a short clip, viewed on its own, cannot overturn the broader body of evidence in an ongoing criminal case. So today, we're not here to tell you what happened. We're not here to declare anyone guilty or innocent, and we're certainly not here to replace the job of a jury. Instead, we're doing what we always do here on Famous Faces Scoop TV. We're slowing everything down, analyzing Candace's presentation, separating what is visible from what is being inferred, and asking whether the conclusions being suggested naturally follow from what the audience is actually seeing. Because that's where this story becomes fascinating.
You know, I have a few questions that just sort of linger in the back of my mind. One this morning that I came up with, I was going, for 33 hours, 33 to be exact, 33. There was this manhunt for Charlie Kirk's alleged killers. And the feds, during this manhunt, chose to release an extremely blurry still image of a man in a stairwell. It was very blurry. Why?
Right away, notice how Candace frames the conversation. She doesn't simply introduce another piece of footage. She immediately signals to her audience that they're about to witness something significant. That framing matters because when viewers hear phrases suggesting that a new discovery changes everything, they naturally begin watching with the expectation that they're about to uncover a hidden truth. It's a powerful storytelling technique. News organizations use it, documentary filmmakers use it, content creators use it. The opening frame influences how the audience interprets everything that follows. That doesn't mean the conclusion is wrong. It simply means our brains are already being guided toward a particular interpretation before we've had time to examine the footage independently. That's why one of the most valuable habits any viewer can develop is asking a simple question: what do I actually see? Not, what have I already been told this means? Those are two very different questions, and that distinction becomes incredibly important when emotions are already running high.
Now, what happens next is exactly as my source stipulated. Our rooftop guy begins a tactical crawl. It's actually known in the military as a lateral crawl. Let's watch that. There he goes. And I actually do want to show you side by side so you can actually see a real military man do that alongside this person on the rooftop. Let's bring in that side by side clip. Here we go.
Now we arrive at the centerpiece of Candace's argument. She focuses on the way the individual moves across the rooftop. According to Candace, the movement resembles what she describes as a military crawl. That observation becomes the foundation for much of her later commentary, so it's worth slowing down and separating the observation from the conclusion. The observable fact is straightforward. There appears to be a person moving low across a rooftop. That is something viewers can watch for themselves. The next step, describing that movement as evidence of military-style training, is an interpretation. It may be an interpretation that some viewers find persuasive, while others may see alternative explanations. Could someone with tactical training move in that manner? Possibly. Could someone without military experience also stay low while moving across an exposed rooftop during a chaotic situation? That is also possible. The footage by itself doesn't answer that question. This is why investigators rarely rely on a single observation in isolation. They compare video footage with witness statements, forensic evidence, digital records, timelines, and any other available information before reaching conclusions. That's why many legal experts caution against drawing sweeping conclusions from one short clip viewed outside its broader context.
You guys let me know what you think, but we're not done. As I told you guys a while ago about this non-smoking gun. Let's revisit what I told you. This non-smoking gun, by the way, which, as we saw in a preliminary hearing, it had dust in the barrel indicating non-usage, which featured Tyler Robinson's fingerprints, which, if you need reminding, were described as the most degraded prints. Per the ATF testimony, among all the prints, his were the most degraded amongst 5 other sets of prints on this gun. How is that possible? How is that possible unless somebody planted his gun?
Play clip. Candace questions whether the rooftop figure resembles the accused 10-12 seconds. Candace then shifts from movement to identity. She argues that the individual seen on the roof does not resemble the person prosecutors accuse. This becomes one of the strongest rhetorical moments in her presentation because facial recognition is something almost everyone believes they're good at. We instinctively compare height, build, posture, movement, and silhouette. Our brains naturally begin making comparisons almost instantly, but visual identification can also be surprisingly unreliable. Camera angles change perception. Distance compresses features. Video quality removes detail. Lighting creates shadows. Digital compression introduces artifacts that can make two viewers reach completely different conclusions while looking at the exact same image. The human brain is remarkably good at recognizing patterns, but it's also capable of becoming very confident when the available information is incomplete. That's one reason courts generally don't rely on visual impressions alone when evaluating identity. Instead, they consider the totality of the evidence presented by both sides. Candace's argument invites viewers to question whether the public has seen the complete picture. That is a legitimate question to ask. But asking whether evidence is complete is different from concluding that another explanation has already been proven. Those are two separate steps, and keeping those steps separate helps us remain objective while following the story.
Anyways, but what do I know? What do I know? We're just, on the internet dreaming or whatever. I think I got all of these messages. Nope. Ali writes, JFK was murdered over 60 years ago, and there are still so many unanswered questions. So why are they so mad at people for asking questions and speculating about the possibilities? By their logic, you needed hard evidence to question JFK narrative 60 years ago. Yes, of course. That's why they launched Operation Mockingbird then, and why they launched it again this time. Same exact reason. That's what these influencers are. That's Operation Mockingbird. You can't just all say the same word, the same adjective to describe the state that you are in. You're not all just like overwhelmed with evidence. You're not all submerged with evidence. That's like be a person, be an individual. This is what fails. That used to work.
This is where the discussion moves beyond the video itself. Candace isn't simply analyzing a rooftop clip. She's questioning the broader narrative surrounding the investigation. Notice how this changes the emotional tone. Instead of asking viewers to study one piece of footage, she's inviting them to reconsider everything they thought they knew. That is a persuasive communication strategy because once people begin believing that one important detail may have been overlooked, they often start re-examining every other detail as well. Sometimes that process uncovers valuable questions. Sometimes it helps identify inconsistencies that deserve clarification. And sometimes it can also lead people to become more confident than the available evidence justifies. That's why careful analysis matters. It's entirely reasonable to ask whether investigators considered every relevant piece of evidence. It's also reasonable to recognize that investigators and courts often have access to information that has never been released publicly. Those two ideas can exist at the same time. One does not automatically cancel out the other. As this case continues to unfold, there will likely be continued debate about what this footage means, what it doesn't mean, and how it fits alongside the broader evidence that may ultimately be presented in court. Whatever your personal view, today's discussion highlights something bigger than one video. It reminds us how quickly a compelling narrative can spread online, how powerful framing can be, and why separating observation from interpretation is one of the most important skills any viewer can have. Because in a world where millions of people can watch the same clip and come away with completely different conclusions, asking careful questions may be more valuable than rushing to confident answers. If you enjoyed this analysis, let me know what stood out to you the most. Did Candace raise questions that deserve closer examination? Or do you think the available public information still leaves too many unanswered questions to draw firm conclusions? The goal of this channel has never been to tell you what to believe. Our goal is to slow the conversation down, listen carefully, break down the words, and examine the arguments being presented. In a world where headlines move at lightning speed and opinions spread faster than facts, taking a moment to think critically has never been more important. So now I want to hear from you. Did Candace Owens make arguments that you found convincing? Did you notice something in her wording that stood out to you? Or do you think there are important questions that still haven't been answered? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. The best conversations happen when people bring evidence, context, and thoughtful discussion to the table. If you enjoy this kind of in-depth analysis, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Famous Faces Scoop TV, and turn on your notifications so you never miss our next breakdown. We don't just report the headlines, we break down the words behind them, one statement at a time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being part of the Famous Fam. And until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and I'll see you in the next video.